All right, so I got an email the other day about a dad that was in the prison. So it was his sister. Just wondering what can he do to get ready. So of course I had to mention my book, Fresh Start for Dads, and so I mentioned that to her. She said she's going to get it and try to get that to him. So that made me think, you know what? Let me go ahead and do a podcast episode on incarcerated fathers and absentee fathers as well, getting back into their kids and family lives as well. So I scrapped the podcast episode I was going to do and then put this one together. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today are in the book Fresh Start for Dads, Reconnecting After Prison and Absenteeism. I pulled up some latest stats on fathers in prison, and right now there's nearly 1 million fathers that are in prison. And then when you start breaking that down, it's a lot of us. Most of the fathers that are in prison right now from, lower income, lower education, young. So imagine a father that's young, the impact that's going to have on him going forward, because he's going to now have a lot of issues and speed bumps on trying to get his life back together at such a young age. And then the impact, of course, it has on the families. And I'm going to discuss a lot of the impact, because a lot of us think the father, the impact it has on him, but you have to think the impact it has on the mother, the impact it has on the kids, the impact it has on his family as well. So I'm definitely going to go over that. And the goal of this episode in Fresh Start for Dads is to get fathers reconnected with their kids, reconnected with their families, and get them on the right path, because everyone needs healing after incarceration takes place. So like I mentioned, nearly 1 million fathers are in prison right now. And that's like 50% of all people that are in prison. And now if you even dig deeper into thinking about the amount of mothers that are in prisons as well, so you can just imagine with everything that's going on with unequal pay in the workforce, other discriminations we already have on our race as is. And then just to think that we have 1 million plus in prison, parents that is, we got a lot of broken families out there, guys. So the burden that families suffer from an incarceration, of course, dealing with separation from, most of the times the father is the primary breadwinner. So you can imagine how that devastates the household with the primary breadwinner being sent away. But mind you, fathers that are in prison, and I want this message to definitely get to those that are incarcerated, is that you are still part of raising your kids despite being locked up. You still have to do things every day. That's why it's daddy every day. Every day, whether you're away from your kids, incarcerated, you still have to do things every day to help support your kids as well as develop yourself. Now, there's a lot of guilt that goes around when a father is incarcerated. Not just the guilt that the father is experiencing, but the guilt that the parent of the father is experiencing. Sometimes you feel like you've failed your kid when they wind up in prison. And mind you, parents, like even with my kids, I think I'm doing all I can for them. There gets to a point where all they can rely on from me is the teachings I gave them. Once they're out there in the world, it's on them. So to those parents that feel that guilt, I get it. But you have to know that if you did all that you can, that's all you can do. There's anger also, because you know better. I taught you better than that. So keep that in mind, parents, to definitely keep your head up, but continue to try to support your child while he's in prison. But for parents, for the spouse or significant other that now has I hate to say use the word burden, but at times it can feel that way, of having to raise a kid on your own. I encourage you to continue to keep your head up, continue to support the incarcerated father, especially if he's trying to better himself while he's in there. And the expectation is for him to come back out and to be reunited with the family. So I encourage you to keep him encouraged. But the part that people miss the most is the effects it have on the kids. This is where we get a lot of the unruliness in young kids when they're in school, because incarceration is something a kid can't understand. Like, you can tell them, yeah, your dad's in prison, but they don't understand exactly what that means. The father has to help out with that. And I say, you have to be blunt with the kid. Daddy did something wrong. The only way to make it right is by going to prison, serving my time. I'll use this time to better myself. I'm going to stay connected with you. I need fathers to really understand that and really drill down into that. And from what I understand, fathers can get access to podcasts. So I definitely suggest that if you have a incarcerated loved one, mother or father, make sure they're aware of this particular episode to get this information out to them, because I have a lot of things that they can do even while still locked up to help support their family and help their family cope with what's going on and to better themselves, so when they get out, they can hit the ground running. Because a lot of the issues that fathers have once they come out is they didn't prepare themselves in prison. They pretty much just serve their time, and then they get out, and depending upon how much time they serve, it's a whole new world to them out there. And if they didn't get themselves ready, they're already behind once they get out. But fathers, what I want you to do is keep in mind that you have to continue to bond with your children. And of course, you're going to say, how can I do that from behind these bars? Well, one thing is writing your kids letters. I say write them as often as you can. Kids, first of all, enjoy getting mail, because that's something they normally don't get. Write your kid as often as you can. Encourage them to write you back. You can talk about what you're doing while you're locked up and how you're trying to better yourself, and get them to open up to you. This is probably one of the greatest ways to continue to bond with your children while you're locked up. This, of course, is definitely more effective with younger children. But as your kids get older, I encourage you to do it. And even if your kid is grown, I encourage you to write your kids letters as often as you can. And if you have grandchildren, that's a great way for your grandchildren to stay connected with you as well. Of course, making phone calls is always a great way to communicate with your family, but just make sure it's not a burden financially as far as the calls, but and make it one of those things that is special. Definitely don't come at a mindset of anger if you didn't get your calls back, or if they're not checking on you as often as they should, because they're having to deal with life on the outside and they have to keep going. And it doesn't stop just because you're incarcerated. And mind you, I'm just going to talk raw with you fathers, because, you know, it's one of those things, like my folks always told me, you do the crime, you got to do the time. So don't think that I'm not compassionate, but sometimes you just got to be real. So when it comes to your mindset with staying connected to your family, just keep in mind there may be some bitterness. Send pictures and drawings, things like that, to help kind of almost entertain the kid a little bit. Encourage them to draw and be creative in the things that they are able to send to you. This is a great way for you to stay connected to how they're developing educational-wise, their creativity and things like that. Another way to stay connected to your children is reading books together, and obviously not in the physical form, but pick a book out for both you guys to read, and then that is a great way for you guys to discuss, you know, the storyline, characters, and things like that when you're on the phone or even through your letters. That's a great way for your kids to continue to learn, and you can be a part of that education. Of course, prisons have programs for fathers and just individuals, period, that's just trying to better themselves. There's parenting classes you can attend to. Definitely utilize the family visitations when it's there. Make it about the kids. Definitely, if the kids are present, make it about them. Allow them to ask questions. Be honest with your answers, and just keep them encouraged as best you can when they come see you. and obviously accept whatever they're given. If they're upset, be understanding of them being upset. If they're silent, understand that. Try to embrace that. Let them know that you understand why they feel the way that they feel. I mean, definitely apologize. This is, like I said, it's a difficult thing for children to go through. You know, as the kids get older, they can be more understanding, but especially for the young children, it's definitely a difficult thing. This is one of the things that cause trust issue with kids, because they're thinking you're supposed to always be there and you're not. So the cards, the calls, the writings, reading together, all these things are ways that you can start to rebuild that trust with your child. But ultimately, that relationship is really going to depend on you just being as active as you can from behind those bars, just being dedicated to the process, regardless if you write and they don't write back. Continue to write, continue to show that I'm going to be here. And when I get out, I'm going to make things better. So now, conversation starters for you and your child. I say if this is over the phone or even through writing or doing visitations, ask open-ended questions that requires more than just a yes or no. Like, what is something fun you did this week? Or what's your favorite time of the year? Who's your best friend? These are things that we were asked, especially who's your best friend, to start knowing who are my children hanging around with. So you need to start asking these type questions the same as if you were out. This is a great way to be a part of their life, even while you're locked up. Now, as far as for you, there are things that you have to work on while you're still in prison. You got to develop your communication skills. Doing the phone calls, doing the letters will help you with your communication skills. You got to mind you, when you get out and start looking for employment and all those type things, you're going to definitely need to still be connected with, communicating with people outside of prison. Manage your anger. If this is something that affects you, look at what programs they have in prison to help deal with that anger, because there can be a lot of frustration and uncertainty, especially with your future, that you may experience. So getting a handle of your anger issues, if that's something you have, is great to work on while you're still in prison and not trying to do it once you get out. Learn to have difficult conversations. Don't sweep things under the rug, because once you get out, and definitely depending on how much time you spent in, it's something that you're going to have to address, and it's going to be uncomfortable having that conversation when you're trying to build and move on with your life. You're going to have to still speak to it. So learn to be able to accept those questions and to answer those questions and to be cool under pressure. And then, of course, time management. You got plenty of time on your hands while you're locked up. But once you get out, you have to learn to develop your own time management skills. You're free to do what you want, but you need to be aware of managing your time. So, you're going to have to look for employment, spend time with your kids, still getting yourself together. So don't allow procrastination and things like that get in your way. You're going to have to set daily goals, weekly goals, and monthly goals. I would start doing that while you're in prison. Start setting daily goals. What am I going to try to accomplish today? That can be like reading, working out, meditation, things like that. What am I trying to accomplish weekly while I'm locked up, and monthly while I'm locked up? All in the goal of getting yourself together, as well as preparing you for life after prison. And finding a passion, thinking about something that you're already fascinated with or really want to get into. This is a great time to start reading up on it, practicing it while you're in prison. Let's say whether there's that to be a comedian, a writer, anything like that. This is a time that you can start trying to hone in on that passion that you have, so that when you get out, you can hit the ground running. All right, so now another challenge that you're going to have is actually finding employment. Now, when it comes to employment, yes, there are companies that hire the formerly incarcerated or ex-cons, if you will. So don't go into the job search thinking, oh, nobody's going to hire me. And it doesn't always mean you have to take the bottom job of any establishment. Now, I feel that you should accept, when searching, whatever you can get to a certain extent to get in the workforce. You have to now start building back up your work history, sort of say. You have to start making money because you have to get out and you need to start providing. Don't look at it as I have whatever amount of time you were locked up to make up for it. No, it all starts with day one. Now you paid your debt to society while in prison. Now it's time to pay your debt to your family. And it doesn't mean you have to try to come out and thinking that you have to do possibly some of the same stuff that got you locked up because you need to get money up fast. It's going to be a slow process. You have to understand that it's not going to be an overnight thing. You're not going to be set in possibly a month. It may even, take a year or more to get on the right path where you feel comfortable. You have to just grind it out every day and just know things are going to get better as long as you keep that positive mindset and determination to get back on your feet. And you have a support system. If you've been really still staying connected to your children, your significant other, your family, you're going to have a support system when you get out. And that's such an important thing once you get released from prison. So keep in mind, one of the things you should do when you get out is check your own background. You want to see what's on your record. Sometimes there's things that can be expunged after you've served your time. So ask questions about that to see if that's possible. And just don't want to be surprised when you get out and you're applying for jobs and you think one thing is on your record, but there's something else. So definitely don't hesitate to check and see what's on your record. And when filling out applications or even answering questions, answer the question. Do not give out more information than they're asking for. A lot of times you feel like you want to be completely honest, so you start adding extra stuff. Answer the questions. Some of the companies that are hiring ex-felons or ex-cons, they're asking the questions they need to know. They're not asking for the additional stuff. So it's one of those things like, just tell us what we need to know. That's all we need to know. So keep that in mind and don't offer information that's not requested. All right, so let's get into some daily mindsets and activities you can do, because one of the biggest things while you're in prison is definitely personal development. Now, some of the things you can do, and this will help with reconnecting to those that you've left behind, is apologizing. I will apologize to my parents, my significant other, definitely my children. I will apologize to my friends, because there are a lot of people that are hurt once you're incarcerated. And I will apologize to myself, because a lot of times you can feel like you let yourself down. You put yourself in a situation that you knew wasn't good. I mean, obviously you hope the outcome was going to be different, but it wasn't. So you need to apologize to yourself and forgive yourself. Like, that's the one thing you can control more than anything. You cannot control if your kids forgive you, your parents forgive you, your significant other forgive you, or your friends. But the one thing you can control is your actions and then forgiving yourself. You forgive yourself, it will free you to start doing the things you really need to do, and that you don't beat yourself up so much. Write, not type letters. I say writing is much more personable than typing something up. So I would keep that in mind when all possible. Writing your family. I stressed that earlier, and I can't stress it enough. It's just writing, because that's one of the best ways to communicate. And it's kind of like how they say they have the receipts of you caring, like just putting in that time. Starting a hobby, like whatever you can do in prison, in addition to finding your passion, maybe a hobby, something that eases your mind, takes you to, like they say, a happy place. That's a real thing. You're finding your happy place, like taking you away from everything and allowing you to reset your mind when you feel overwhelmed. So definitely find a hobby. So like once you get out, I suggest like occasionally just dressing up. We have a different mindset when we dress up. That's probably one of the reasons why we dress up for church and special functions. It's just different when we actually dress up. Our self-esteem is higher. We feel good about ourselves. We throw on a little extra cologne when we're dressed up. It's something about your mindset changes when you dress up. So I would encourage you to dress up just to feel good. Hey, dress up for no reason sometimes. Read. I can't stress that enough about reading. The knowledge is truly in books. Learn about things you don't know. Double down on things that you do know just to sharpen your skills. Reading elevates you. It will make you a more effective communicator. It'll allow you to help educate your own children. So definitely read. Reward yourself from time to time. If you're out being productive and you're doing the things you need to do, whether that's in or out of prison, reward yourself occasionally. We have to pat ourselves on the back sometimes, and don't wait for somebody else to pat yourself on your back. If you're doing a good job, keep doing it, keep grinding, and then reward yourself. When you get out, volunteer. Help those that are less fortunate. There's something special about volunteering and helping others. Give thanks to the man up above or whoever you serve, and say it out loud. That makes it real. Not just keep saying it in your head thanks. I mean, really just say it out loud. It's almost like the same thing as when you tell somebody you love them. You just don't think it. You say it out loud. You show it. And this is something very important that people don't really think about. Be very protective of what you let inside, mentally, physically, your diet, everything. Beware of the images you tend to focus on online. I think you know what I mean. Be careful of the foods you eat and everything, because we don't realize this, but our diet affects our mentality. The things we eat, how we feel. There's some people who never or hardly ever get sick, and there's some people who are sick all the time. And a lot of times that can be linked straight to their diet. So be careful of what you let inside your body. Now, there are some post-release checklists that you have to do while you're still in prison. Now, these are very important. You need to know all this before you get out of prison, and it will go a long way to helping you. Now, this is a portion of the podcast. If you are listening, you may have took everything else in, nodded your head. This is where you need to have the pencil and paper to jot down these things you need to have so you can literally check it off once you understand it. First, you need to work out your housing situation. Depending upon the type of incarceration you have, you may have to go to a halfway house first before you're actually released on your free will, but know who you're going to live with. This goes back to reconnecting with your family or staying connected with your family, friends, significant others, and your children so that you are aware and you have that support system so that when you get out, you have a place to stay, and that is a giant burden off your mind on what you're going to live, so that's one less thing you have to worry about, and you can get right into the things that you need to worry about. Of course, your forwarding address, email address. You're going to see with a lot of job applications and things like that, you're going to need an email address so that you can get information. Of course, like when you start searching like websites like Indeed and Monster and things like that, looking for your job, you're going to definitely need an email address to get notifications and things like that. Obviously, a phone number. So once again, a lot of this stuff it's going to require you having someone on the outside helping you out. So make sure you staying connected with those on the outside. A mentor or a counselor. I suggest you get it into a program, start searching for programs on the outside to help you out, to get you a mentor. And this doesn't matter your age. This isn't just for the young fathers out there. This could be for the older fathers out there who know they haven't done right and may need that particular guidance, not just being formerly incarcerated, but like, okay, how do I do this with my children? I wasn't that good to begin with, so now I want to be right. Getting those type mentors around you would be definitely helpful. Transportation. Understand, depending upon your city, you may have transit, so that'll be your main way of getting around. If not, finding who's willing to give you a job, because once you get a job, you want to make sure you're able to get to your job, to see your parole officer and things like that. So you definitely want to have that in mind. Church, finding a church. A lot of resources can come directly from church. A lot of churches have prison programs. So staying connected to a church, not just spiritually, but there's other things that the church offers, if you find the right one, that assist you in getting right and getting back on your feet. Local ex-offenders, excuse me, dang, I'm stuck on my own words, but ex-offender groups that advocate for you and that you can get assistance with. This is a great resource that a lot of ex-offenders don't think about, but there are groups and organizations, nonprofits, that are there just to assist fathers that are getting out of prison and prisoners in general. So this isn't everything that I'm saying. It's not just for fathers. It's for offenders and ex-offenders alike. All these things you do need to get in order, whether you're a father or not. Your supportive friends. Who can you really count on? This is getting out of prison is the perfect time to now separating yourselves from the ones that help you and the ones that have you wind up right back in prison. So be careful your circle. Your circle should be small. That's a great way to make sure that you're only around those that are there to benefit you, to help you stay out of prison. Of course, your family members. Who can I really lean on for support? They're going to help encourage you, motivate you. Those are the ones that you definitely want to be around. And a library. A library is the most underutilized resource around. Of course, it has the books there. They have programs there from time to time. Computer access. There's one of those things where you don't have to have these things in your own home. You can go down to the library and spend hours there researching. That can be this place you go to look for your jobs. You can look at their bulletin boards that they have there that'll give you job opportunities. Advocacy. Dang, that's that. Why am I getting stuck on that word? That thing happened. Watch, I'm gonna be able to say it like a pro. Wow, that's amazing. I have that from time to time, but wow. So I'm gonna have to find another way to say that because I'm gonna get stumped again. I'm gonna be at a major event and I'm gonna get stuck on the word. But like I said, it can help you find the groups that you need to be a part of, a support system. Even being in a support system with ex-offenders, feeding off each other. That's a great way to be sharing your success stories can help benefit someone else that may not feel as encouraged being released. This is a great way to build up yourself and build up others at the same time. It's very important to have everything on this checklist, the housing, the forwarding address, the email, contact phone number, finding a mentor, transportation plan, finding a church, ex-offenders group, the library, supportive friends, and supportive family members. You need to have all these in mind and ready for when you get out. Because then that brings us right to the first 45 days. The first 45 days of your release are going to be so important. I say maybe day one is the day that everyone will celebrate your release. You can enjoy that. But by day two, you need to hit the ground running. You need to already be starting looking for jobs. I challenge you before you even get out to start applying for jobs. Like I said, there are dozens and dozens of major corporations, not just companies, but corporations that hire ex-offenders. And they're not all just the minimum wage type jobs too. So I challenge you to start searching those while you're in prison, so that when you get out in your first 45 days, by day two, you're already applying for the jobs. If you haven't even already applied while you're in prison, definitely don't let people discourage you about hitting the ground running. Because some people are like, man, you need to chill, man. Like you just got, no, you need to say, nah, I got 45 days to get my life together and hit the ground running. It should be about finding employment and bonding with your children as best you can. It won't be easy because there's a thing where they were living with you. Now they've been apart from you. And, you know, when you're apart from somebody, you learn to adapt to life without them. So it may not be the easiest thing for you getting back into their life, and it won't feel completely comfortable in the beginning for the child or you. But you have to be present and you have to be active. Like I said, only thing you can control are your emotions, your temper, your feelings. That's the only thing you can control. You can't control how they feel. And if they still want distance or want to ease into it, you have to be respectful of that and understanding. For some, it may be a quick embrace and you're already back there. For others, it may take a while. And be understanding of that. The child had to go through a lot to learn to adapt to their life without you. And now that you're out, now they have to learn to adapt with you being back in it. And it's not the same. They've grown over that time, regardless of the time frame it's been. They've grown. So you have to learn to live with the fact that it won't be easy. But in that first 45 days, there has to be a goal of trying to just connect, letting your kid know, hey, I'm here. I know I've been gone. I'm here, and daddy's working to get himself together. Like I said, it's difficult. I can't stress enough, because some of the things I've learned over the years of doing Daddy Every Day is that a lot of fathers get lost when they get back. Okay, maybe they have the job. Maybe everything is in place, but the disconnect that they didn't continue to try to reconnect, I should say, while in prison, the kid is completely disconnected to them. They've learned to live without them. They've decided in their mind they don't need them. And a lot of fathers are messed up with that. And there are some to this day that I've connected with have not established the relationship back with their kids. So you have to be ready for that. And that's one of those things that happens when you don't try to continue to build with your child while you're in prison. So when I say this first 45 days is important, it's almost like this is if you've done the right things while you were in prison. If you've done the things like I've mentioned, like with the post-release checklist, connecting with your children, connecting with your friends and family, and those that are going to be a part of your support system, if you did those things, your first 45 days can be all about just action as far as employment and things like that. But if you have not done those things while you were in prison, and now your first day out, now you're trying to do all those things, it's going to be a difficult road ahead for you. So remember, the first 45 days is for those that did the work while they were in prison. It's hard to even come up with how to do 45 days if you haven't done any of the work before you got out. It's, to be completely honest, it's one of those things that wind guys back up in prison. They come out and they don't have a support system. The relationship with their children is in shambles. They have no leads towards employment. So the first 45 days for them can be so overwhelming that they just go back to the life that they were living. So do the work while you're still in prison. All right. So now, in the first 45 days, you need to have three goals, three main goals. You can have many goals, obviously, but you need to have three main goals, and then kind of reverse engineer in a sense, like this is my main goal. Then what are the steps I need to reach these three main goals? And your main goals can be, in the first 45 days, you want to find employment. You want to reconnect with your children. And you want to make sure you have stable housing. It will be great if, like, whatever you decide while you're in prison, where you're going to stay, that's a spot that you can stay in. But if it's only a temporary thing, then you need to make sure in those first 45 days you're looking for permanent housing. This is the time where you need to start setting roots up so that you can start feeling established and start getting to routines, so your children can start feeling routines. Last thing we want to do is start moving all around from couch to couch kind of thing, and then trying to still develop a relationship with your children. So housing, bonding with your children, finding a job are excellent top three goals. But this can vary from father to father, all depending upon how your system is set up. And keep a journal. Like inside the Fresh Start from Dad's book, I have sections in there for you to journal your days. Day 1, day 2, day 3. It's one of those things that you can plan out. Like on day 1, if you're doing a journal, I encourage a journal. I know it sounds feminine to a certain extent. It's like, I'm not going to journal, but it's about writing your thoughts down. So you can call it something else. You don't even got to call it a journal. It can just be a sheet of paper, but you need to keep notes of what you've done. And then you need to keep notes on, all right, this is what I still need to do. And then, checking things off. So keep that in mind. Like, I'm going to call it a journal. It's still a journal. You can put it on a sheet of paper, it's still a journal. But keep a journal to keep track of what you've accomplished and what you still need to do. This is a great way to stay motivated, because when you see your wins, things that you accomplish, that's what keeps you going to tackle the things that you need to do. All right, so now I'm going to give you 7 essential steps to a successful life. This right here applies to everybody, whether you've been incarcerated, if you're just feeling stuck in life. Do these 7 things, and I promise you, you will have a successful life. Now, of course, success is different from everybody, but these 7 things will get you going in the right direction. All right, 1, you have to know your vision. Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to accomplish in life? Be reasonable. If you want to be president of the United States, what have you done that'll qualify you to be president of the United States? That kind of thing. So be reasonable in what you want to do, but you don't have to shortchange yourself. Like, let's say, using the president as an example, if you wanted to be president, what are the things now that you can start doing to become president? Running for local council and things like that to try to build yourself up. Maybe your vision is just to be a healthy dad, so you're around a lot longer for your kids. Then your vision needs to be, all right, what kind of diet and workout regimen do I need to help me accomplish that goal? What kind of tools do I need to assist me in being a better father? Because we all can be better fathers. I know we do a lot of great things with our kid, but we still strive to do better. Like my boys tell me I'm a great dad. I feel sometimes I come up short, even though they said I was a great dad. They still point out some things that they would like to do more with me. So it means I still have room for improvement, despite all the things I've done with them and how I feel. There's still room for improvement. So get the tools. There's no shame in getting a mentor when it comes to that, which also brings me to the next step, is identifying a mentor. I say whether you are, a carpenter or a teacher, you need someone that has more experience in that still mentoring over you, someone that you can go to for advice if you feel like you're getting stuck or you just want that additional knowledge. So definitely identify a mentor. As simple as going online, searching if you don't already have one in mind. If there's somebody social media wise that you're following, they can be your default mentor by following their words and their work. I even challenge you to reach out to them no matter how big they are, because you never know if they're willing to take on a mentee. So identifying a mentor is a big thing. Commitment. Deciding I have my vision, I am committed to the vision, and I'm going to do the things it takes. Even if it takes me out my comfort zone, which is the next step. Leaving your comfort zone is a scary thing because a lot of us like to do just the things we're comfortable with. It makes life easy. And stepping out of your comfort zone can be very difficult. I would even say for me, this right here is stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm not a big fan of my voice, but doing this allows me to reach more people. And that's my goal. That's my vision, is to reach more people on Daddy Every Day. I want to make parents better parents. So if getting on the microphone and having to hear my own voice will allow a father that I couldn't reach because they didn't know about my social media or my books, if this is a platform that allow me to reach a father in Seattle, a father overseas, then it's what I'm going to do. So stepping out of your comfort zone is a great way to elevate yourself. It will open more doors for you. And once you conquer that, you will feel better about yourself. And you'll feel like you're able to take on more. It's like, I conquered this. This is not easy for me, but I can do it. And then it becomes easier. And you're not afraid, and it allows you to take on bigger challenges. So stepping out of your comfort zone is definitely an important step. Staying positive. As cheesy as that is, you need to keep a positive attitude despite when things are going wrong. That's the only way you can really pull out of it. You can't, if you're experiencing bad times and you allow that to eat you up, it'll be so difficult for you to get out of that. Keeping a positive attitude, like this too shall pass kind of thing. Keeping a positive attitude have you keep taking the steps you need to get out of that funk you're in sometimes. Don't be afraid to fail. A lot of times we don't apply for that job because we don't want to get rejected. Apply for that job. Apply for a job that you're qualified for. Apply for a job you're not qualified for. One that you know you have interest in and you feel you can do it if you learn more about it. Apply for the job. Let them tell you no before you tell yourself no. Don't be afraid to apply for a job and they say no. Apply for another one. Keep applying for that job. You never know, like your persistence could be one of those things that gets their attention. Keep learning about new things, even if it's difficult and you feel like there's no way you can do this. If you have the interest and passion for it, go after it. So vision, commitment, mentor, positive mindset, getting out your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to fail. And one of the biggest and most important ones of the 7 steps is enjoy life. A lot of us are just living day to day. It's almost like you can take your brain out and your body would just go through the motions. Enjoy life. Take a moment to enjoy the things you like. Even with myself, a lot of times I get caught up with working, Daddy Every Day, doing the dad thing. And I rarely get time where I just completely enjoy something I like. Obviously, I enjoy my kids, but there's other things I enjoy that's more me. That's just me. I'm going to say it, that me time is real. Sometimes, like for me, I can just grab some wings and fries, and sit down and just watch a movie. Most of the time when I'm watching a movie, I have my laptop with me, so I'm actually working on things and trying to watch a movie. But sometimes just sit back and just enjoy the simple things. Taking like a long walk, I like doing that. As cheesy as it may sound, but it's so relaxing. Getting out there, walking in nature is a great way to just simply feel blessed in a sense that, heck, that you're out here and you're able to take steps. So I challenge you to enjoy life to the fullest, despite what you're going through. I never compare what my issues are with other people, because we'll always get to that, oh, what they're going through is so much worse, so I can't say anything about what I'm going through. We all have different challenges, and we all handle challenges differently. So don't ever compare what you're going through with somebody else. Just enjoy your life to the best of your ability and doing the things that you need to do. So I definitely want to give a quick recap on everything that I just talked about. With the nearly million fathers locked up in prison right now, it is definitely devastating on families. But the things that the father needs to remember is he has to be aware of what his incarceration has done to the family. The mental state that it puts the family in, of having to deal with, it almost feels like a loss in a sense of not having you around. So be understanding of that. Help them cope. Allow them to vent to you, to say their frustrations and things like that. Take it in, accept it. Use that as energy to keep you moving forward, to help you with doing the steps you need to do to better yourself, and to make sure that you don't wind up in this place again. Because once you get out, if you're not prepared, society will find a way to throwing you back into that place. So prepare yourself for that. Bonding with your children. Continue to write letters if you're doing it. If you haven't done that, write letters to your children. That, of course, their parental guardian is also an important person you want to stay connected with, because they'll be the ones to facilitate them getting the mail, them getting the calls, them coming to visit with you. So whoever is the parental guardian of the child, make sure you have a great relationship with them as well, and staying connected with them as well, because they'll give you the stuff that the kid's not telling you, what the kid is experiencing. So make sure you stay connected with that. But bonding with the kids, family members and friends as well, just staying connected. Let them know how you're doing, and also building that connection so that when you get out, you have people to lean on. And back to the kids, asking open-ended questions, of course, so that you can really dig things out of them. Personal development. Make sure you're doing the things to better yourself. Communication skills, anger management, time management, setting daily, monthly, weekly goals, finding your passion. Those are definitely some things you want to work on while you're in prison. Job searching while you're still in prison. You have access to computers while you're in prison. Definitely take advantage of that. Searching for jobs. Let your family and friends know what type of work that you're qualified for, your skills and things like that. They can go ahead and start doing the search for you too. That's why it's important to keep those bridges open so that you can stay connected, and they can be your feet on the ground for you, looking for jobs and things like that. And keep in mind, there's dozens and dozens of corporations that hire ex-offenders. So do not eliminate yourself from a job that you haven't even applied for. Keep in mind doing background checks once you get out to make sure you know what's on your record. Make sure you only answer the question. Do not offer additional information. Answer the question and move on. Daily activities to kind of your mindset. Apologize to yourself and apologize to others. Get a hobby. Read. volunteer. That post-release checklist again: housing, forwarding address, email address, contact phone number, finding a mentor, your transportation plans, a church, ex-offenders groups, library, keep that in mind. Your supportive friends and families, know all that before the first 45. Use the first 45 days to really get yourself going. If you truly commit to the 45 days, by that 45th day, you will be in such a great place, mentally first, but then physically, and then with your children, with your family and friends, employment, hopefully, because that can still be a struggle. So just be ready for that. But if you commit to the first 45 days, it would definitely do wonders. And that's going to about do it for our episode, Life After Prison. And mind you, this is not just for inmates. This is for absentee fathers as well. Except there's no building. You have to just start from day one. Once you decide, I need to be a better father, I haven't been there for my kids, start today. Reach out to the parental guardian. Don't reach out to the kid first. Reach out to the parental guardian and say, I messed up. This is when the apology thing I mentioned with the inmate. You need to apologize for not being there. You need to say, what was it that caused you not to be there? And it's you. So definitely don't blame others. You can get back in your kid's life possibly. Slow process, I'm sure, but you can do that. But those steps I listed in for the incarcerated fathers definitely apply for absentee fathers as well. And of course, if you want more information, because I can only, touch on the things, I have more in the Fresh Start for Dads, Reconnecting After Prison and Absenteeism. You can use that. The journal's in there, so you don't even have to call it a journal. You can just say you got your book. It has plenty of sections in there for you to jot things down, keep important numbers. The checklist is in there. You can definitely utilize that. At the end of my show, I like to give out all the contact information, but I really suck at that. But for this book, you can find it on Amazon, Fresh Start for Dads, Reconnecting After Prison, or you can get it from daddyeverydayshop.com. You can go to my website, daddyeveryday.org, to find a link to the Amazon or to the bookstore. If you have questions, whether you're an incarcerated father or a family member that wants to get additional information on how to prepare their incarcerated family member, you can hit me up via email at info@daddyeveryday.org. That's how this book came about, was somebody reaching out. They saw my Daddy Everyday, Rewriting the Black American Dad storybook, and they wanted some information on their incarcerated brother. And that right there sparked me to write the book Fresh Start for Dads. And I have to say, there are supportive family members, because I've had most of my book sales from Fresh Start from Daddy Everyday come from family members getting their books for their incarcerated loved ones. So the support system is out there for you guys. You just make sure while you're in prison, you're doing the things to keep that going. Social media, Daddy Everyday, on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, Daddy Everyday 24. I'm on there and I'm giving out information and little nuggets from here and there to help you as far as bonding with your children and just making yourself a better father. I think we all can be a little better, and me being a better father doesn't just affect my children. It affects other families, because you got to realize the way I'm raising my kids, I'm sending my kids out into the world, and they're going to have an effect on the world. And the way I raise them will help them with raising their kids. So keep that in mind. So that's going to do it for the Daddy Everyday podcast. Appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe on Spotify. And also The only place you can get the live video, if you want to see my handsome mug, is on Evervision on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel so that and click the notifications. That's so important. Click that notification so as soon as the video drops, you're the first one to know. So that way you can see this handsome mug and get this good information. That's a win-win right there. So thank you for tuning in, and see you guys next time.